Morning. Welcome to this Monday edition of the Angela Ray Show. I hope that you all have had a good weekend. I know for me, it was definitely a somber weekend, but I am glad to be here with you all to share and to tell another story because that is what the Angela Ray Show is all about, telling stories and sharing stories with all of you. If you're catching this broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I do appreciate the support. If you are watching the broadcast live, do me a favor. Once you get onto the broadcast tonight, go ahead and slide into the comments and tell me your favorite memory from Black Panther. No doubt, I know I have so many different lines in the movie that are my favorite. There are scenes that I really love, and even the experience of seeing the movie. I had an opportunity to attend one of the official screenings of the movie, and the late Congressman John Lewis was there, along with the great Samuel L. Jackson and so many others. In addition to going ahead and seeing it a few more times in the theater before watching it on the small screen at home. So, again, if this is your first time catching the Angela Ray Show, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. And if you are a returning viewer, again, I do appreciate your support. Let's see who has chimed in. Oh, taking your grandmother to see the movie. That is special. I am sure it meant so much to her, LaDonna, to see a movie of this magnitude with this type of theme and with this type of fantastic acting and great representation on the big screen. We're going to go ahead and get the party started as we always do, with our ray of motivation moment. And in keeping with talking about Black Panther, this ray of motivation moment is simply feel so you can heal. Feel so you can heal. So, like many of you, I was completely blindsided of the news of the passing of Chadwick Boseman on Friday, and just going through the weekend, reading the tributes on social media, as well as just finding out more about this brave and talented individual who I admired from afar. By the time I finished watching Black Panther again, like many of you did on last night, as well as the tribute that followed on ABC. And kudos to ABC and Disney and Robin Roberts and everyone who was involved with that tribute. It was simply amazing. I realized that I was exhausted last night. I was spent, and I found my place feeling very sad. And the my first impulse was to find something funny to watch. My go-to oftentimes is the Golden Girls, Blanche, Dorothy, Rose, Sophia. Those are my girls. They always kind of get me in a good mood. And I have every single episode recorded on my DVR, but I caught myself for a moment and I realized that I just needed to sit with what I was feeling, honor what I was feeling, and be honest about what I was feeling. Just process the enormous loss to both the artistic community, but just to overall humanity, and what a great person Chadwick Boseman was. And so I would just like to remind you as you go through your day to day, if there is something that you are trying to avoid feeling, just go ahead and feel it so you can heal it. And that is tonight's ray of motivation moment, because I will share with you that I felt a lot better once I just sat on the couch with my feelings and just had a little talk with myself and processed that moment. Edwin Killmonger, like he was like a bad character, but like you, I really, really loved just what Michael B. Jordan brought to that character. And yeah, it was amazing seeing just the fanfare of people walking into the movie theater. It almost reminded me of Coming to America a little bit. All right, so tonight I start a new series entitled Rehearsing for the Leading Role. And my first guest is Miles Mussenden, a British born American film and television actor. He is known for bringing warmth and strength and charm to a myriad of roles. He started acting when he was young and trained at the New York Academy in Dramatic Arts. He's since been featured in a number of roles, probably some of your favorites. I know they are some of my favorites, including recurring roles on Queen Sugar, Army Wives, and Bloodline. He's made appearances in shows like Ballers, Secrets and Lies, Mr. Mercedes, and Stranger Things. I love that show. He can be seen as a series regular as Otis Johnson in Marvel TV's Cloak and Dagger, and that is currently streaming on Hulu. So please help me welcome Miles. Miles, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here on the Angela Ray Show tonight.
Yes, Angela. So happy to be here with you, man. We'll kick it with our people over here.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, I know that you are back to work. I think I saw you share recently that you just finished a project, and amazingly, no one got sick throughout. So that is, I'm sure that you're happy, your family is happy about
Yeah.
that as well. But prior to getting back to work, what were you doing during the downtime of the pandemic?
It's funny. I was baking cookies and taking strolls down the street. And seriously, I was really doing that. It it's a funny thing because on the one hand, I was like, okay, we got to get back to work because I was in the middle of working and they just like everybody go home. And I was shooting
Hmm.
down in Virginia, and around the middle of March, and they just sent us home and said, well, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks turned into months. So, but on the bright side, is like I haven't spent that much time with the family in a long time. So it was great, actually. I wasn't mad at all. The only thing I was mad is myself for eating too many cookies and not working out enough.
I think that quite a few of us found ourselves in that predicament of maybe overindulging just a little bit in some of our favorite savory things.
Yeah.
So can you talk about what you were working on in Virginia? I know some things are hush hush, but are you able to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean it's not a secret. I'm working in Virginia. Well, there's a show called Swagger. It's on Apple TV,
Hmm.
Apple Plus, and that's what I was working on pre-COVID. We're supposed to be
Okay.
starting back this month, so hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, everything will be go as planned, and we'll be back on that this month. Um, and in between that, there was a little film, an indie film called The Inheritance that came available, and I wouldn't be able to do it if I was shooting Swagger, but because Swagger was down, I was able to go do that, and it was shooting in Georgia, so it's cool because it was close to Atlanta. It's like 2 hours, 2 hours, but it's in Columbus, Georgia. Excuse me. So
Okay.
yeah, I was there in a bubble shooting that film.
And so I know that in your bio it talks about you, getting started growing up in New York. What drew you specifically to acting?
Um, when I first started, I didn't even really like acting. They forced me to do it. So, yeah, they forced me to do it, and it just turned out that I happened to have a knack for it. So, I mean, interestingly enough, as a child, I used to always play the bad guy. It was in school because I used to do these. Well, it doesn't matter, but basically, I would play do these plays. They got popular, and we ended up going on tour in New York. And then I was able to not go to classes because I would be on tour doing these plays, and that was fun. So that's when I started really liking it because I would get away with all kinds of stuff because I was an, actor in school. So that kind of drew me. After I didn't like it, I loved it because of that, because of the freedom and the access it gave me.
Now, I recently saw you return almost like the bookend, if you will, to Greenleaf. I
Yep.
remember seeing you on the very first episode
Mhm.
bringing a Grace back to the house. And I thought it was really nice that they brought you back. I don't even know if, people remember, oh, this is the same person who brought her to the house when
Yeah.
this whole journey started. Did you know that you were going to be coming back? Like, how early did you find that out?
No, I it's interesting because I remember when I first did the show in that first episode, I thought they were going to probably use me more in the show. I mean, I got busy with other things anyway, but so I kind of moved on. And then I got a call from my agent. They wanted me to, and I appreciate Oprah and them always trying to, show me love. I did a couple of her shows and stuff. Um, And I got a call saying, hey, they want to come back as the series finale, and they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do this thing and blah blah blah. So we were able to come to terms and work it out and get it done. So yeah, I knew. I mean, we shot that last year though. Yeah,
Okay.
we shot that sometime last year, and I was actually filming a show called The Good Lord Bird with Ethan Hawke, and but the shoot for Greenleaf was going to be like
Mm-hmm.
a week, and we managed to kind of get it in, so it worked out. So yeah, it was fun to get back and hang out with those guys a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think everyone's anxious to see if there's going to be this spinoff and what it will entail.
yeah, I heard it's going to be a spinoff, so that should be cool. Yeah.
Definitely. So this series that you are kicking off with us tonight, rehearsing for the leading role, is all about me featuring actors, but also getting their take on leadership. And so I'd love to hear from you. Are there any leadership lessons that you've learned as an actor?
Um, Leadership lessons. Yeah, yeah, a whole lot in different areas. I guess one that comes to mind is, I think as leaders, and you mean leaders as in terms of in our own personal lives or in leading other people, or what do you mean by leadership? Let me make sure I'm.
I think both, but definitely lessons that you're able to apply in other areas. I think would be a more specific approach to it.
Okay. Yeah, at one time in this business, I was in the film industry as an actor. I was kind of just happy to get what I can get and jump in on any opportunity. And it's funny because as I started getting more work and becoming a working actor, some of the stuff I'd done early on, people start putting it on IMDb, and I'm like trying to delete it, because some of the stuff I wasn't that happy with, I probably shouldn't have been part of. Um, so I learned that you kind of gotta have a goal and know what you're going after, and you set your goal, because if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there, and you wind up being somebody that you never planned on being. So like now, I turned down a lot of work. I mean, it's probably good for other actors because they get those opportunities that I wasn't able to. I wasn't That wasn't right for me.
Hmm.
But that opens doors for me to do the things that I do want to do. There's certain roles that if I would have taken, I would not have been available to do Cloak and Dagger, for example. So I'm glad that I didn't do those. I didn't do those particular roles. So I think knowing what you want, and even when there's a lot of noise that comes in, because sometimes I'll have my agents, and they'll be calling me. Well, and I give it. I don't want to give specifics, but there was an example of a role that I was not really wanting to take. Um, they didn't officially offer me the role, but they were interested in me for the role. So I told them, okay, well, I'll do the role, but under these conditions. And they my agents and stuff started calling me, and they were like, well, why can't you do this, and talk to your wife about it, and this and that. And I said, well, no, I don't really need to talk to anybody about it. That's kind of not the way I want to go with my career. So I'm not interested in doing that. I'm not going to talk to anybody with that. I don't want to play. I don't want to do these certain type of things. And I didn't. The casting director for that series, and that series ended up being an Emmy award-winning series, a lot of awards, and it's still on to this day. Actually, they're in their fourth season or something like that. And uh, um, I might have missed some opportunities, but again, I was able to do some other things that I probably wouldn't have been able to do had I taken that role. So I think even though my agents might have wanted me to do it,
Hmm.
and the cast director might have wanted me to do it, I wasn't comfortable doing it. And then again, I wasn't able to audition with that cast director for like a year. They were, I don't know if they were pissed off at me or what the deal was. And then, after about a year, they sent me an audition, that same casting director, and it was for the same type of role. So I don't know if they're trying to send me a message or what, but I think we have to take charge of our career. And I think people have to take charge of their lives, and we have to know what we want and how we're going to go get it. Because I'll say this: there are certain roles. You know, when you're coming up in acting, there's something called co-star, and then you go to the next level with guest star and series regular. And as a co-star, you get credited a certain way. The end credits, that when the show is over, they kind of play your name with a bunch of other names really, really fast. Nobody sees it, and that type of thing. Whereas as a guest star in a series regular on a TV show, your name comes in the beginning of the show. You know what I'm saying? And people know that you're playing a role in this show. So there came to a point in my career where I was not doing co-star roles anymore. That ruffled a lot of feathers. And I was told, well, I won't be able to work in Atlanta because, that's Atlanta, there's a local market. So the roles that come out of Atlanta are co-star roles. So you're basically saying you don't want to work here. And I do because I live in Atlanta, especially now with COVID most of the year. So I'd like to work here. I'd love to stay here. But I had to stick to my guns. Because for me, career-wise, I know where I wanted to be career-wise. I know that I walked into an audition one time, and I saw these actors, older actors. They were older than me, and they were there for the same callback as I was. And these were people that I viewed, this is years ago, as veteran actors, and they were guesting. I thought they were series regulars at the time on some Tyler Perry shows. A little before, I saw two of them at this audition, and it was for a recurring role on this show. It was a show shooting in Atlanta at Screen Gems. I can't remember the name of it. It had to do with a lot of sex and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm like, man, these guys are here auditioning at the same time with me for this co-star role. And I'm like, when I'm that age, I don't want to be that guy auditioning for every day. I'm looking for a job every couple of days, every couple of weeks, because I'm taking jobs that work for 2-3 days. I don't want that for my career. If that has to be my career, I'd rather not do acting. I didn't want it to live like that. So I knew for me that I wanted to do guest star and better. So that's what my goal was, and I've stuck to that. So even now in Atlanta, thank God, they find opportunities, series regular opportunities and guest star opportunities in Atlanta for me all the time. So it worked out, but had I went with what they were telling me at the time, I would still be doing that little co-star dance and looking for work every couple of days.
Right.
So I would say, know what your goal is. My leadership, what I learned about leadership is know what you want. This is your career. Know what you want. And you have your goal, and go for your goal. Don't go that way and all the noise and all that kind of stuff. Go for your goal. I mean, I listen to my people. I listen to my agents. I listen to, because I respect the casting directors, what they have to say and how they feel. But I know where I'm going and what I want to do with my career. So I know it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter if I'm not there yet. I know where I'm going to, and I know I'm going to get there if God spare me life. Hopefully that wasn't too long of an answer.
No, I followed you well. I followed you well. You have a question from one of our very loyal viewers here at the show. Edwin has a question for you.
Okay. I can't hear. Is it talking
Oh, it's
now?
on the screen. Can you see it?
Oh, I have to read it. Oh man. Okay.
I can read. I'll read it for you. I'll read it for you. As working actors, how much control do you have over the direction of your career, and how do you advocate for yourself?
Okay. Well, she may have asked that before I answered that. Before I finish speaking, because that's pretty much how I advocate. I tell my agents. I talk to my agents. We're a team, and I have agents, I have managers, and we talk about what I'm looking to do. So they know where I want to go career-wise, and we've agreed what we're aiming for career-wise. So the things that we go after are in line with what I'm trying to do with my career and what we're trying to do with my career. So I think having that dialogue and have that communication, and doing everything in your power, I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm heading to that goal personally, without my agents and managers, on my own. So I think once you know where you're going and everybody else knows where you're going, I think that's advocating for your career, and that helps you get where what you're trying to do.
What would you say is the biggest lesson that you have learned on this journey?
Uh, you know, for me, the biggest lesson is appreciate where you are in the moment. I think a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, are always chasing the next thing, chasing the next
Mhm.
thing, chasing the next thing. And you don't realize that, man, you're blessed in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Because, even when I was doing, I used to do stand-in work for Denzel, and I was a stunt double and all that kind of stuff. And in that moment was a beautiful moment. The things I learned from Denzel were priceless, and they still inform my work this day. So you have to appreciate it in the moment. I was anxious to get on with, okay, put aside stunts and standing and do my own thing as an actor, but I was learning things in that time that are just invaluable to me. So appreciate the moment.
And, in addition to acting, you also do other work behind the scenes, not just stunts, but you produce as well. How did you start doing other work outside of just acting within entertainment?
I've always kind of been a bit of an entrepreneur. I've had several businesses, and I was working on this show, and uh, Bruce Greenwood, he's a longtime actor, and Don Cheadle, I got an opportunity to just kind of pick their brain a little bit, and one thing Don was talking about was you have to do something else in the business. You can't just be a hired gun. So when he said
Mm,
hired gun, meaning you can't just be there as an actor waiting for somebody to hire you to work. You have to do
right.
something else in the business. So he was saying, and this was before Marvel blew up and all that kind of stuff. And Don was when he said there's only a handful of people, especially actors of color, that he felt that did not have to work constantly to continue to live. Um, so you have to do something else in the business. So when he said that, I took that to heart. Um, and I said, okay, well, what else do I like to do? What else do I have a knack for doing? And I'm pretty good at kind of getting people and putting things together. So I said, well, let me be part of that and produce. And so yeah, I loved directing and producing, and so that's how I started doing that. And I used to produce music back in the day as well, so it's kind of a natural thing.
Oh, any songs that we know? Any artists that we recognize?
It was mostly reggae music, so you would have to know
Okay.
reggae music. But yeah, I
I know a
used
little
to.
reggae.
Now you do? Well, I used to produce a lot of Shabba Ranks songs and Dennis
Trouble.
Brown. Shabba. Yeah, man. Where that girl crying, man? Yeah, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think is next for you in terms of entertainment? You are already a series regular on a show. You've been producing. What is the next level while you're enjoying and being present and appreciating this moment in terms of goals? What's next for you?
Well, I'm almost scared for your audience to tell people this and say this, but I okay. Well, let me see if I can put it like this. I look at careers of other successful artists, and for me, somebody that I look to is Morgan Freeman. And
Mm,
I like what he's done with his career. I like he's an amazing actor, and I'm not comparing myself to him, but I look at his career as some of the things he's done and some things that I'd like to do. When he was younger, the kind of roles he would play, I like those kind of roles. I like that. Morgan wasn't necessarily number one on the call sheet. He might have been number two, number three, maybe even number four, but he still would get paid a lot, because he was respected and he brought this gravitas to everything, all the roles he played. So I think I've been told I have some a little bit of gravitas. So those roles I'd like to play those and fill that space that Morgan Freeman was doing when he was my age, and when he was in his 40s and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to play those roles, and so if Morgan Freeman's booked, it's good. I'm available.
I know that's right. I know that's right. You have another question from Edwin. Since you have gone back to set since COVID, what advice do you have for actors who have not been on set? What advice do you have for them when they get on set?
When they get on set, you know, okay, so this COVID thing, just know that it's gonna be all right. But they do these swabs. Like we were being COVID tested 3 times a week. Um, and I had a little anxiety about this whole COVID thing. I mean, I don't like people shoving stuff down my nose and all that kind of stuff into my throat. I had a little anxiety, but it's not a big deal. It was uncomfortable for me, and in fact, I even one of my nostrils got sore. That I know it
Mm,
sounds kind of gross, but it did. Um, but for the most part, it was all right. But 3 times a week, and if you're working for a long time, that can kind of get a lot. But be prepared for that, and also be prepared to take the extra precautions. Like, for us, they had us, we were all, I was in the house with 3 of my co-stars, they all happen to be females, so we were living in a kind of like a bed and breakfast type place together. So we were kind of in a bubble, and then they had like a bunch of houses all around. So we didn't go to a regular hotel, not at first anyway. Some things changed. I ended up going. But anyway, we were kind of in a bubble. So, you got to be prepared to kind of keep yourself away from other people, because if you're working on a show and they're depending on you, you don't want to come back to work and get tested positive.
right.
I was taking every precaution not to go around places, not to go, like I wasn't going to parties and restaurants. I know I had posted something at a party, but that party was the day that everybody got tested. And that was kind of everybody, cast and crew from the show. And we got tested that day. So we had a party with just us. So
Hmm.
just, be prepared to be responsible and isolate yourself to the point where, you're not going to be the guy that comes back with COVID.
Definitely makes sense.
Mhm.
I'll get ready to wrap this up by asking you the question that I ask for viewers at the beginning of the show, and that is, given the magnitude and the impact of the movie Black Panther, and definitely Chadwick Boseman's career, is there a particular line or a particular scene that stands out for you from Black Panther?
Oh, there's so many. Line or scene. I guess when Michael B. Jordan, close to the end of the film, uh, Chad's character, God, the Black Panther, asked him, I can save you. We still might be able to save you. And he was like, nah, why? So I could be in the cage. He said, bury me, just bury me in the water where my ancestors, so many of my ancestors died, or something to that effect. They preferred to drown in the water than be in the cage. And I thought that was a powerful line, and so significant to then to all throughout the time, the history of us as African people of color in this country, where it's like the struggle continues, and it's like I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And so I
Mm,
think that was a
yeah,
powerful statement, and it's relevant to for the last 500-600 years.
definitely.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that one too. Even seeing that one again last night. And every
yeah,
now and then, I love to hear Michael B. Jordan say, "Hey, Auntie." Um, that's a
yeah.
surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
Miles, any final thoughts before we wrap up tonight? Any final things you want to share? Miles' Instagram is scrolling at the bottom of the page, so feel free to connect with him there. He's very active, shares a lot of information about what's going on, both socially as well as in his acting career.
Yeah, I try. I have to kind of force myself to do that, to be honest with you. But I would say, be humble and continue to press forward. Be thankful for where you are. Don't get complacent. So I know for me, I think, I learned a lot of things from different people in different places along the journey. And everything kind of helped me. One thing helped me to get here. The next thing helped me to get here. Next thing helped me to get here. And so I know a lot of people kind of stay in one place and follow one thing, and you can get stuck. So if you find yourself not moving the way and towards closer to your goal, I would suggest that you keep pressing, keep looking. Not that you're jumping in and being driven by the wind, but for me, there were things because I knew my goal and because I knew what I wanted to do. I could hear something like I could hear, for example, like I read Backstage magazine. So read the publications in our industry because you're in the industry, so know what's going on in the industry. And I heard a coach saying something that rung a bell inside me, and I felt like what he said was on point with some things that I was looking to learn. So
Hmm.
for me, it made sense for me to go and work with this person. So that helped me get to the next level because he had what I needed, and everybody needs something different. He had what
Right.
I needed. So stay green and growing. Stay green and growing. Don't get complacent. None of us have all the answers. Even some of the top actors, in our field, are still growing and still willing to learn and still willing to try new things. So I would encourage you guys and everybody else to do that.
Stay green and growing. I might actually tweet that out later on tonight. Miles, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to kick off rehearsing for the leading role. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Angela, for having me, and thank y'all for everybody that tuned in. And yeah, good stuff.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, take care.
All right. Well, that is it for this Monday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Rehearsing for the leading role. This is part two of my series leading up to the relaunch and re release of Megastar Student Leadership Lessons I Learned as an Actress that can help you lead, achieve, and succeed. The first part of this series, I interviewed leaders from a variety of backgrounds, and now we are getting to the actors. So, as always, in closing tonight, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror will not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening. Good night.